Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Chainlink, and we're going to be looking at a realistic price prediction for 2021. If you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Now, the title of this video is going against sort of the series that we were doing called a realistic price prediction for this market cycle. And the reason I'm distinguishing Link is because Link doesn't really play by the same rules as a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. If you look at Link's history and you look at the price history, you might start to wonder what bear market, right? What bear market of 2018 and 2019? Link was putting in new all-time highs in 2019, and it really never looked back. So it doesn't really seem like it would be doing Link a service by discussing where it could go this market cycle, when so far the data has suggested that it doesn't really obey the laws of a quote-unquote market cycle. Therefore, I thought it would be a more useful approach to say, well, where could it go this year? And because of that, that is why the video is called a realistic price prediction for Chainlink, but in 2021, not necessarily for this market cycle, which we don't really know exactly how long that's going to take yet. So let's go ahead and jump in and digest these charts to really understand where it could go if the market conditions continue to allow for it. So we're going to first look at the Link Bitcoin chart. Okay, and this chart shows our Link Bitcoin valuation. It's color coded by the risk metric, our Link Bitcoin risk metric that we've been talking about on the channel for I think at least over a year. We watched all these little bubbles form. This last one was pretty incredible because we said, okay, things are getting really heated. If history is any indication, it's probably going to come back down. And it actually came back down a lot further than it had in a long time. In fact, it's reached levels that it wasn't at since the summer of 2018. Now, you might wonder, what is the usefulness of this? Well, historically, when it's close to these blue levels, it means it's low risk against Bitcoin. And against, when it's red, it means it's historically high risk. And that doesn't mean that it can't trend higher. For instance, it started to get red here, and then it just went darker red as we moved up that final risk band. It just means that you might want to consider offsetting some of your risk if you're very exposed in Link at these times. That way, you at least protect some of the profits you made during these 10x moves. Okay, that is the purpose of this chart. So if we take the risk out of it, or the color out of it, and we just plot the risk on the secondary y-axis, we get this yellow line. And the reason why this is important is because we might want to know where would it go if the Link Bitcoin risk went back to the 0.9 to 1 risk band, which, by the way, it's been at 3 separate times. So the idea that it can't happen, I think, is just simply not true. It's happened 3 times already. And if you're wondering, well, maybe you just fit it to these 3 data points, I did not, right? I did not. It's not fit to any of these data points. In fact, it was we developed this risk metric over here, and it did a really good job of predicting this peak back in the summer of 2020. So the reason why we're looking at this is because we might want to discuss what would happen if it went back to the 0.9 to 1 risk band. Where would that put the Link valuation? Well, this is an interpolation table. If you're on the premium list, you've seen this a lot. These are dynamic. They change with time. In 2 weeks, these are going to look completely different. So it really depends on the time frame, in terms of where we are. And some of the ones at the end might look kind of funny. It's just because I only have 2 decimals, and that was just what they rounded to. This one I ended up putting 3 on here. But ultimately speaking, this is our interpolation table that we use. And currently, if the Link Bitcoin risk were to go back to 1, which is basically where it's been, at least say the 0.9 to 1 risk band, today it would correspond to a valuation of 225,000 Satoshis up to 275,000 Satoshis. And the reason why that's important is because simple stoichiometry from, back from Chem 101, if you know the Link Bitcoin valuation at 1 and you know the price of Bitcoin, then you can get what the theoretical value of Link would be. And so if the Link Bitcoin valuation were to go to, say, 275,000 Satoshis, and the price of Bitcoin were say 50 grand, then that would put the LINKUSD valuation at a modest $137.50. Now, you have to remember there's two things that are variable in this, and that's both of these numbers, because the Bitcoin valuation could vary. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is actually at 53,000. I'm just sort of assuming that, you know, if Link does go on a run, a lot of times it goes on major runs is when Bitcoin has cooled off for a while. So maybe Bitcoin cools off at 50K. If Bitcoin ends up cooling off at 70K or 40K or, you know, some other random number, then this would be a very different number, right? If we multiply it by a theoretical valuation of Link Bitcoin. And also remember that this will change over time as well, the risk metric of the Link Bitcoin valuation. So there's obviously two things that can vary. I'm just showing you if it were to happen today, if the Link Bitcoin risk were to go back to say 1 at a Bitcoin valuation of 50K, then it would put the LINKUSD valuation at a modest $137.50. Now, what about its USD valuation? We also have a risk metric for LINKUSD. By the way, if you guys like this content, subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 200,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, but definitely subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. This is a LINKUSD risk metric, and one of the things we can note is if we take the risk, the color out of it, and just plot the risk on the secondary y-axis, and also pull up our interpolation table, we can see that, well, most recently in the summer of 2020, we just went to just shy of 0.9 risk. The prior two peaks went above. This one went right to around 0.9. This one went all the way up to the top. So and you can actually see this has been cut off. I need to increase the primary y-axis limits over here, because I essentially have it cut off at $30. So you can see it's actually getting currently it's actually cut off right now. But we can do the same type of exercise. If the LINKUSD risk metric today were to go to 1, where would it put the Link valuation? Well, it would put it at $85. Note that this is increasing each and every day. So if this were to go to 1 in 3 months, then this valuation could be over $100 by then. So it is increasing by a little bit each week. So again, in the same manner as we always say, time is on our side. Okay, time is on our side. And we can see that we've had 3 major peaks around these risk levels up here. The funny thing is, whenever we're down here, everyone's always bearish. Whenever we're up here, everyone's always super bullish, and anything you say about a potential correction is just written off as FUD, and then it always does the same thing, right? It always does the same thing. So if in the future we find ourselves back up in this region, it might be somewhat wise to consider that it isn't going to be different this time around, and that systematically taking some profits off the table is not necessarily the worst idea. Now, again, it's not financial advice. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just saying from my own experience, when we get to these regions, it tends to work out if you scale out some of those profits, and then you can always reinvest them later on. So what needs to happen? Okay, well, what we can say, first of all, when we do these like price prediction videos, what we're sort of looking at is it seems like a 3-figured link is on the, it seems like it's in the cards this cycle. Or this year. I mean, obviously this cycle, but we should say this year. It seems like it's in the cards, okay? And because of that, we have to also consider some other implications, because price prediction videos are a dangerous thing. The market can change on a dime. Everything can get incredibly bearish relatively quickly. Everything can get overly bullish relatively quickly, and then it can blow out price predictions. So I'm just trying to provide a realistic price prediction based on some of the mathematics that we look at. And one of the things we also look at is we look at the link price. This is on a log scale, color-coded by whether Bitcoin is above or below its 20-week moving average. You can see that Link tends to do well against USD when Bitcoin is above its 20-week. It tends to go parabolic. And so I would say that the best case for Link to continue this parabolic move that it's been on, even though it seems like people are bearish right now. I mean, look at this trend. I mean, this was, it turned from here at like $3 and it hasn't really looked back. It's now up 10x and people are still complaining. So what I would say in this situation is that I think a lot of this will depend on Bitcoin staying above its 20-week. It doesn't necessarily have to be in some major manic bull market. It could just be a sort of just holding the line or a slight increase. But I think as long as Bitcoin's above the 20-week, there's a decent chance that this Link move will continue. Note that I think there's a decent chance Link can trend up in the short term against USD, especially with a generally bullish market. However, if you're wanting to see that manic move by Link that we saw last summer, we would likely need to see Bitcoin volatility decisively diminish for several weeks before we could see something like that. So I'm sort of looking towards the summer as a potential time for Link to shine. Obviously, it's not something you can take to the bank. It's not financial advice. I could easily be wrong on that, but that's sort of what I'm thinking. And then also, if you look at the Link Bitcoin valuation, you can see that it also tends to just generally go up. And this is why I was saying Link might say, well, what bear market? When you look at its Link Bitcoin valuation, it just tends to go up. During the bear market and the accumulation phase and the last bull market, it was only in this bull market that you can see the Link Bitcoin valuation has taken a hit, which we said, we don't really know how Link's going to behave in a Bitcoin bull market. We've never really experienced it except for the tail end of this bull market. So that's one thing to consider. The last thing is if we look at our Link Bitcoin exponential fit, we know that we have fallen off of it. We followed this exponential fit for a while. Right now we've fallen off of it. Bitcoin is in a bull market. Whenever Bitcoin is not overly bullish, we'll see if Link can get back on track or if in fact it's going to start a new trend altogether. Maybe this is the beginning of a new trend where it does something completely different against Bitcoin as we proceed in the bull market. So I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you like the content, definitely subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. We have the premium list. You can find a link to that in the description below. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the Telegram chat room, the TradingView indicators, the risk dashboard. We have a new app, an Into the Cryptoverse app, and you have to be signed up to the premium list to use it, but you get access to a lot of these different risk metric things. So make sure you guys check it out. We have an altcoin season sale going on. We'll end it in about 5 days. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go for 200,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And by the way, to sort of wrap it up, what I'm sort of thinking is I think a 3-figure Link is on the cards this year, or in the cards this year. I don't know for sure if we're going to make it there, but it seems like it is realistic to assume that Link can make it there. There are a lot of things going in the cryptocurrency, a lot of things going for it right now. Generally, the crypto market is bullish. I don't think that's going to hurt Link's USD valuation. Bitcoin volatility coming down at some point during the year, which it likely will, would probably be great for Link. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.